Welcome to this high-stakes explainer, where we're going to put your pop culture survival knowledge to the ultimate test and see if it's actually just a fatal trap. Look, we've all seen the movies, right? The rugged hero is stranded in a howling blizzard, freezing cold, and takes a swig from a trusty silver flask to stay warm. Or a frantic friend rushes into a police station, only to have some gritty, tired detective tell them they have to wait a full 24 hours before reporting someone missing. We just absorb these dramatic tropes as facts, kind of tucking them away in the back of our minds just in case we ever need them. But what if that so-called knowledge is the exact thing that gets you killed?
I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, could the common sense you've picked up from Hollywood actually be dead wrong? Today, we're cutting through the fiction and looking strictly at the hard, unforgiving reality of life or death situations. When things go catastrophically wrong, your margin for error shrinks to absolute zero. In those critical moments, you simply can't rely on folklore, and you definitely can't rely on what some screenwriter thought looked cool on camera. You've got to rely on cold, hard facts.
So, let's dive right in. We're going to rapid fire through 4 deadly myths today: fake warmth, the 24-hour rule, lethal coins, and lightning strikes. Starting with Section 1, fake warmth and the freeze. It's such a classic movie trope. The blizzard is raging, someone's practically turning blue, and they're handed a strong drink to put the fire back in their belly. You take a sip, and boom, you instantly feel this rush of heat. But the scientific reality here is that relying on this fake warmth can severely compromise your biological survival. What you're actually experiencing is a biological process called vasodilation. Basically, alcohol artificially forces your blood vessels to open up. It is literally the cruelest biological trick your body can play on you. It's highly ironic, really. You might drop $40 for a fancy alpine cocktail at a ski lodge, only for it to actively freeze your vital organs the absolute second you step outside into the snow.
Now, understanding how vital your core temperature is completely redefines the whole science of human resilience. Your core body temperature isn't about how your skin feels when you touch it. It's about the deep internal heat that's preserving your vital organs, like your heart, your lungs, and your brain. Human resilience relies entirely on keeping this core temperature stable at around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. If your core drops just a few degrees, falling below 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 Celsius, clinical hypothermia sets in. At that exact moment, your body triggers a state of emergency and your survival clock starts ticking down exponentially faster.
Here is exactly how this biological chain reaction plays out. When alcohol is consumed, those blood vessels dilate. That warm flush you feel? That is just your body's precious heat rushing away from your core and moving to the surface of your skin, straight out into the freezing air. Because your skin is packed with nerve endings, your brain gets temporarily tricked into thinking, hey, we're warm. But in reality, you are actively starving your vital organs of the heat they desperately need to keep you breathing. It's exactly like opening all the doors and windows of your house to let the heat out during a raging blizzard. It actively works against your body's built-in survival mechanisms.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 24-hour rule and why immediate action is everything.
We see this manufactured conflict on screen constantly. A terrified family member rushes into a police precinct, only for an apathetic officer to sigh and say they can't do a single thing until the person has been gone for 24 hours. Listen to me, this is absolute fiction. The reality is that missing persons cases are intense, frantic battles against the clock, not administrative paper waiting periods. Hesitating because of this TV misconception can be a catastrophic, irreversible mistake in a real emergency. The critical window of action is immediate.
Just look at this timeline. When someone vanishes, the trail is at its absolute freshest in hour 1. And in our modern era, this is more true than ever before. Law enforcement needs to mobilize immediately because vital digital and physical evidence degrades incredibly fast. Think about it. Cell phone pings expire, Ring doorbell and CCTV footage gets automatically overwritten. Plus, a car traveling on a highway can easily cover hundreds of miles and cross multiple state lines within just a few hours. By hour 12, you are already deep into a critical window where finding a person becomes exponentially harder. If you actually follow that TV myth and hold off until hour 24, you've just introduced a statistically massive delay that severely drops the chances of a positive outcome. Immediate action is absolutely everything.
Okay, on to Section 3, pennies, physics, and lightning strikes. Let's look up at the sky for a minute. We're grouping these two sky-based fears together because they both completely ignore the basic realities of probability and physical force. On one side, we've got the classic urban legend that a penny dropped from the top of a towering skyscraper will gain enough momentum to pierce a pedestrian skull like a sniper bullet. On the other side, the old comforting idiom that lightning never strikes the same place twice. Now, both of these sound highly plausible to the untrained ear, right? But it seems Hollywood screenwriters clearly skipped their high school physics classes because both of these myths completely crumble the absolute second we apply actual scientific analysis.
0. That is the number of lethal skyscraper coin drops in history. By looking at the actual physics of falling objects, we see exactly why a coin dropped from a skyscraper is mathematically incapable of being lethal. Because of its flat shape and super low mass, a penny doesn't just accelerate endlessly toward the pavement, it very quickly reaches its maximum falling speed, its terminal velocity, which is really only roughly 25 to 50 miles per hour. So instead of shooting straight down like a dart, it flutters and tumbles wildly all over the place due to air resistance. Sure, if it hit you, it would sting. It might even leave a little welt on your head. But it completely lacks the mass and velocity required to actually pierce human skin or cause structural damage. It's pure urban mythology.
And then there's the lightning myth. The old idiom tells us that once disaster strikes a spot, it's totally safe forever. But nature does not keep a checklist. Lightning is simply a massive electrical discharge, desperately searching for the easiest, most efficient path to the ground. Tall, isolated structures made of conductive materials provide that path perfectly. So not only is it statistically false that lightning never strikes twice, but certain places are actually guaranteed to be struck repeatedly. To put this into perspective, the Empire State Building in New York City gets struck by lightning around 25 times every single year. Sometimes it gets struck multiple times in just a single storm.
Finally, Section 4, the true science of human resilience.
The biology of human resilience. This is a powerful takeaway from our source material today, and it perfectly reminds us that surviving life-or-death situations relies entirely on hard science, not folklore. When the temperature plummets, it's the strict biology of your core temperature that decides your fate, not a quick sip of alcohol. When someone goes missing, it is immediate action and modern technological data that guides a successful rescue, not some fabricated TV waiting period. Human resilience is an incredibly powerful force, but we have to remember it is deeply bound by the unbending rules of biology and physics. We survive by understanding these rules, respecting them, and working with them, rather than acting on comforting but profoundly dangerous myths.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. To challenge your own instincts. Today, we've unlearned some of the most pervasive myths out there. But what else is lurking in the back of your mind? The next time you face danger, the next time things go completely wrong and you have to make a split-second decision, will you trust the dramatic movie myths that sound good on paper, or will you trust the fascinating, unbending realities of human biology and physics? Think about it, because knowing the difference might just save your life.